All right. So this is the Environmental Advisory Committee meeting for September 10th, 2025, a bit after 2 p.m. If you want to do the roll call.
Cool. Brad Freese.
Here.
Mr. Bradford.
Here.
Russ Redmond.
Here.
Clay Damon. Jill Wenta.
Here.
Michelle Shirels. Drew Enriquez.
Here.
All right. Any changes to the agenda as it's written? Anything you want to add?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I second.
I have one recommendation.
Okay.
It's a small one, administratively. Clay is gone right from the agenda. Should his name be removed and my name be added?
Yes, it should. That must be an oversight. We'll fix that in the future ones.
No problem.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's the only change.
Put my name on it.
Very material.
Okay.
So we need a vote. All.
Yep. So all in favor to make that particular correction and say yay.
Yay.
Any nays? Motion carries. Communication from citizens? None. Presentation. Roll, please. Still waiting. All right. We're going to skip the presentation right now and then go to other business in the agenda, consent agenda. This would be the minutes from our last meeting in August. Is anyone have a comment about or changes to be made to the minutes?
I have a comment for, let me get this. So when I click the Environmental Advisory Committee August 13th, if I click that, I get an iCompass thing asking me for my username and password. I don't know what the heck that is. I don't. So in other words, I was not able to read the minutes is what I'm saying, because I don't have access to what this iCompass stuff is.
Was anybody else unable to access?
I didn't have a problem.
I just did the same thing, and it did that to me too. So there was clearly something there. We'll since you guys didn't get a look at them, we'll put them in the next meeting agenda. You can skip over them today.
But if you were able to read them, Brad, and you thought they were acceptable, that's sufficient for me.
Well, reading them and accessing them are two different things.
Are you talking about the link right under where it says minutes?
Yes.
It's just supposed to like leap you down to page 4, I think. That's what it does for mine. You don't have a page 4?
No.
You're probably already in
I'm looking on the left-hand side.
He's already in the document.
It's, yeah,
Oh.
So when he clicks it,
page 4 of 9.
I might have just gone in and clicked it so that you don't have to do that anymore.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to make a motion then to approve the minutes from the August meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 13th, 2025 meeting.
Yeah.
Is there a second, guys, to
Yeah, second.
Jill's? Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. All right. Did anyone here read what I put together for the village council?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there any suggestions or things they may have missed that you would want added? Because I'll have FaceTime with them. If it's not on this document I created, please let me know. Did it hit everything?
The only,
I wasn't. I got the same
Oh,
problem.
you got the iCompass
I got
again?
the iCompass for everything, so
I had tech issues. I couldn't get into the system, so I didn't have a chance to
All right.
review any of it, unfortunately. I could look through it right now I could skim through it if we have time.
Yeah, well,
If you need a EA, but,
a lot of it was what we did over the past year, so
Okay.
I don't know if,
Yeah.
Brad, the only thought I had was on the looking forward, the 2025, 2026 initiatives.
Yeah.
Is there any value in reordering the 1 through 8 into like what would is that an order of priority, or it's just you just put it out there?
The way I put it, there's no priority. It's
Here's the
just
stuff.
firing off everything.
Right.
I don't know if there's,
Is that yours?
maybe Jay would know.
I don't know if there's value in presenting to the council, hey, here's our priorities
Top.
in order.
Yeah.
If we have an order, we really haven't debated that or had that discussion, but it's just a small thing.
Yeah, no, it kind of that makes some sense. I guess then the question would be, how would you order them?
Right. That might be the bigger challenge.
Right. I think I might just leave it the way it is instead of trying to figure it out.
That's the only feedback I had. I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can ask them if, there's something.
I may be wrong about this, but in years past, I had to make that presentation.
Mhm.
And I believe there's been times when the council asked, well, what are your top priorities for the upcoming year?
Mhm.
Maybe I winged it, I don't remember. But I used to sometimes, when I first encountered that, I would sometimes write the memo in a priority like Wade was talking about, where maybe the top 3, just so that would catch their attention primarily.
Yeah.
Like whatever it was that we were dealing with in that particular year, I might put the top 3. I might not tell them it was the top 3. I just put it there to make sure it would be something that they read instead of assuming they're going to go all the way down that list.
All right.
And the reason that I suggested that was where my mind was, there's a lot of energy right now in the state of Florida about future property taxes and what that means at the local level, and perhaps even budgetary cuts that may have to take place at the local level across the state. And I was just thinking ahead, like if we had a list and all of these cost money, if they knew what our top priorities were, other things that fall at the bottom of the list could be less, more discretionary. And it might help inform our next steps if we're presented with those next steps.
All right. No, that makes complete sense. And we're going to come back to it and let Mike do his presentation. But now that I'm thinking about it more and more, I think it would be probably a better idea to rank them. And maybe that's something we discuss. Who hasn't seen it? You haven't seen it?
I just looked at it.
Okay.
I just had a question. Are these set in stone or can?
The priorities?
Yeah.
No, well, this is what we're,
Well, no. The reason I said
this has already been sent, or it's already,
No, it's fine. I was one thing that popped into my head when I was looking at number 5, the ones around green building incentives.
yeah.
One thing that I thought is kind of you're seeing more and more across the country is initiatives around the type of things that are used in landscaping.
Mhm.
So like the type of fertilizer, like more green oriented fertilization and pesticides and insecticides
Mhm.
across, because you breathe that and it's so dangerous. So a lot of places are moving toward green type of products that aren't so poisonous, because it's just, especially in areas like, you see it less on the West Coast because it's kind of less maintained. But here, the amount of HOAs and people pay for really nice landscaping, a lot of it is just soaked in really, really terrible insecticides and pesticides and stuff that people are breathing every day driving by. So I don't know if that's kind of overstepping or anything. But I think that's something that I always thought would be an interesting initiative that is good for the community.
When you say it's set in stone for my discussion tomorrow night. Nothing here is set in stone with regard to the business that this committee does.
Oh,
So yeah, bring every good idea like that to the table, and we'll implement it.
because I've done a ton of research on it, because my wife and I are super sensitive to like, and around green building strategies, like we live like that way ourselves.
Yeah.
So we kind of know a lot about that, so I'm more than happy to help in
Yeah,
aid
great.
develop
That's great.
strategies around that.
Awesome.
Well, just FYI, we have talked about and made recommendations to update what's called Florida friendly landscaping. And just by the fact that those plants are native, that they require less water, they require less pesticides and less fertilizer because they're native. And so Tequesta now has on its books that every new development has to use Florida-friendly landscape.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to look into like more of the specifics around what that means.
Yeah, so you can Google Florida-friendly landscape and it'll take you to the University of Florida website. And you can go to municode.com and look up Tequesta's code and then type in Florida-friendly landscape and you'll see what we have on the books.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so we'll come back to this, and so we'll skip back up to our presentation by Michael Tompkins, the lead project manager of South Florida Water Management District, and he's going to give us an update to the Loxahatchee River Watershed Restoration Project of SERP, or Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Brad. So I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you all again. This is the second time I've been here to kind of give you guys an update on how we're making progress through the Lox River Watershed Restoration Project. So like Brad said, my name is Michael Tompkins. I work for South Florida Water Management District, lead project manager on the Lox River Watershed Restoration Project. So just kind of give you a sort of overview of how this all got started. The Lox River Watershed Restoration Project is a part of the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan. SERP was authorized by Congress in WRDA of 2000, and the Lox River project was subsequently authorized by Congress in WRDA of 2020. So SERP projects are a 50-50 partnership between the Army Corps of Engineers and the state of Florida, and the South Florida Water Management District operates as the non-federal sponsor for the state. So when I say 50-50 partnership with the state, that the state and the federal government, that encompasses the responsibilities of designing, constructing, and maintaining the projects and the funding to carry out those activities. So here's the study area for the project. The Lox River area is about 480,000 acres or 750 square miles. It's highlighted in the red study area there. And then we're looking at sort of two graphics, the historical Everglades and then what our current development is like. So currently the land use is highly urbanized to the east, natural areas, open land and water in the west and the north, and the landscape was historically dominated by a mosaic of wetlands and uplands and sloughs. So the purpose of the Lox River project, the primary purpose is to improve the freshwater flows to the northwest fork of the Loxahatchee River. This is the nationally designated wild and scenic river, and also to restore the hydrology and connectivity of wetlands and watersheds that form the historic headwaters of the river. So there are 5 primary objectives that we're trying to achieve with this project. The first objective, restore those wet and dry season flows to the nationally designated northwest fork of the Lox River. Objective 2, restore oysters, seagrass, and other estuarine communities to the Loxahatchee River estuary. Objective 3, increase the spatial extent and function of wetlands. Objective 4, restore the watershed connections that's among the Lox River headwater natural areas. This is to improve hydrology, sheet flow, hydro periods, natural storage, and vegetative communities. And the final objective, to restore the abundance and diversity of native plant and animal species in the watershed natural areas, in the river, and in the estuary. So the project benefits that we're looking to achieve, and that is to meet the restoration flow targets for the Northwest Fork. The project, once it's complete, will be able to deliver 91% of the dry season flows. The dry season target's 68 CFS. And 98% of the time we'll be able to meet the wet season flows. That's 110 CFS during the wet season. Presently, there's a minimum flow that we try to achieve at the Lanehart Dam. That's 35 CFS. But once we get all these features in place, we should be able to exceed that, virtually all the time. Another benefit, promotes the recovery of riverine freshwater species and estuarine zones for fish, seagrass, oysters, and other protected species. Also improves watershed wetland hydrology. That's improving 17,000 acres of existing or former agricultural lands and 10,000 acres of existing natural areas. It's also kind of a big continuous area where all this together, you get an ecological connectivity area of about 78,000 acres. And then in addition to this restoration for plants and animals, we're also going to be adding a lot of features that promote outdoor recreational opportunities, hunting, fishing, hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, things like that. So this was the authorized plan that's in alternative 5R. This is in our project implementation report. And I'm showing you this just so you can see that we've got 3 primary flowways. So you can see up on the north section, this is primarily up in Martin County, is flowway 3. That includes the Kitchen Creek restoration, Moonshine Creek and Gulf Stream East, the Cypress Creek Canal, Gulf Stream West, and Palmar East. And then to the west, the sort of purple color, that's flowway 2. Flowway 2 is primarily above ground impoundment. That'll be the C18 West impoundment. That will have 9,500 acre feet of above ground storage, and there'll be 4 co-located aquifer storage and recovery wells that would be used to capture excess water that the reservoir cannot accommodate. And then to the southeast, we've got in orange flowway 1 that includes 2 structures, G160 and G161, and restoration in the Grassy Waters Triangle area in just north of North Lake, and then also a pump station in the M Canal. And the idea of that is that we would pump water out of the Indian Trail Improvement District's lower basin, route that through Grassy Waters up to the project. So kind of in a nutshell, flowway 1 and flowway 2, the idea is to get more water up to the Langhart Dam. So we'll be sending water through the C18 Canal, through G92, and then ultimately to the northwest fork of the Lox River. And then flowway 3, while we do get benefits to the Lox River, it's downstream of the Langhart, but those benefits would be to improve the wetlands, the hydrology in those areas, and also to provide some additional base flow to meet some of those salinity targets that we've got downstream of the Langhart Dam. Okay, so now just a little bit of a deeper dive into flowway 1. 2 features in flowway 1, that's that pump station, the S100, you see that down in the lower left-hand corner there. And then the Grassy Waters Triangle regrading. This is a small earthwork project. Ultimately, Grassy Waters is slightly too dry. We're going to try to connect a canal that would spread water out a little bit better in that area. The primary purpose, too, in flowway 1 is to capture excess water that's being released from the Indian Trail Improvement District lower basin. So this water is basically, it's routed off the map, but it's routed through the C51 canal and it's lost to the Lake Worth Lagoon to tide. And so rather than let that water leave the system, we're going to try to capture it, store it in flowway 1 through Grassy Waters Preserve, primarily in Loxahatchee Slough, and then when needed, release it through there to get to the Northwest Fork. Flowway 1 is the last flowway to get into design. We've had some issues that we've been working through with some pending litigation that is finally wrapped up, and so we're looking to execute a design SOW in the next couple months. We were hoping to get it in this fiscal year, but that's kind of coming to an end very quickly, and so it'll probably be at the very beginning of the next fiscal year, so FY26. So that's flowway 1. Flowway 2, that's the C18 West impoundment with those co-located ASR wells. Purpose here, provide water delivery to the northwest fork of the Lox River to achieve those flow targets. Again, capturing water that would otherwise be lost to tide. This time we're going to be pulling it from Indian Trail Improvement District's upper basin. We're also going to be getting water from JW Corporate Wildlife Management Area, that's just to the west of the impoundment, and from the Hungry Land Slough that sits just to the north of the impoundment. So that's primarily flowway 2. Now, what I was just showing you was what our plan was in the PIR. So last year in September, we got our team together, our design team. They looked at the design that was in the PIR, and they didn't like several of the features that we had in the PIR's design. And so we've sort of reconfigured how the facility would operate. This shows what the draft structure locations, our preliminary modeling indicates that this is going to perform better than the PIR version, which is why we went with this route. The impoundment footprint and the storage is unchanged. What is different is that rather than 3 pump stations, we've condensed that all into a single pump station, so it's a little easier to design, easier to maintain, and just easier to operate. And in addition to that, we've got a single discharge point. There was 2 previously. This is just fewer penetrations through that dam, which improves safety. And then the last thing is we've added some weirs to the perimeter seepage canal. So this is designed to capture anything that's leaking out of the impoundment. We've added some weirs to that so we can hold different water levels in the seepage canal. And this is to make sure that we don't have water, leaving the site and impacting the nearby neighborhood. So you can see we've got the acreage just to the south, and there's a new development that doesn't show up in this aerial, but to the east is that Avenir development. And this is just kind of a artistic representation of what that impoundment would look like, once it's constructed. We are in design for this right now. We executed our contract in FY23. We've finished the vast majority of our survey and geotech work. Preliminary design is still kind of pending that we finalize the structure locations, but that's looking pretty solid right now. So we're looking to get started in preliminary design in December of this year. And then we'll have intermediate and final design phases after that. So that's Flowway 2. Flowway 3, several features in Flowway 3. This is all primarily in Martin County. There's a little bit of impact and improvement in Palm Beach County, but most of this is Martin County. So we've got Gulfstream East regrading, Hove Grove Ditch, and then we're also going to be constructing a bridge to connect the Ocean to Lake Trail across the Hove Grove Ditch. So once we make these improvements at Gulfstream East, the water levels in the ditch are going to be a lot higher than they are right now. Right now, people actually just walk through the ditch, but there's only maybe a foot of water in there. But once we make these improvements, there's going to be several feet of water in the ditch, and so we're going to build a bridge so folks that are hiking on that trail have access across. Gulfstream West will be a flow-through marsh. That is that triangle that sits just to the west, the red triangle that sits just to the west of 95 and the Turnpike. Palmar East, that's just to the far left of the figure there. We're looking to fill in this canal that sort of separates Palmar East from 9 Gems, create a larger contiguous area of wetlands that's going to also sort of balance out some of the hydrology in that area where Palmar East is typically a lot wetter than 9 Gems. Right now, that berm and canal sort of serve to dry out 9 Gems. We're going to try to resolve that with the restoration. Cypress Creek Weir and berm improvements are also a part of Flowway 3. You can see Cypress Creek Canal that kind of runs east and west there. We're going to be constructing a weir just under that Gulfstream West flow-through marsh, and that weir is just going to be bringing water levels up in that canal so we get the groundwater stages a little higher. McDairy Pump Station is a pump station that'll pull water out of Cypress Creek Canal, distribute it into a spreader swale, and then that would just flow to the east through the Cypress Creek natural area. So again, getting water into the landscape to improve the wetland hydrology. And then Kitchen Creek wetland restoration. That's sort of off this map, but I've got another slide that addresses Kitchen Creek. But same thing, trying to redistribute water in the watershed, get it into the wetlands to benefit those areas rather than just let the water escape to tide. And the purpose of Flowway 3, improve hydro period and ecological functions of wetlands, improve the timing of the discharges to the Northwest Fork, restore the historic topography, reduce overdraining, enhance habitat for wildlife by restoring connectivity and hydrology. So this is a little bit of a closer look at the Gulfstream East restoration work. So this is one of the projects in Flowway 3 that we're going to get to construction first. This is slated to start construction next year. What you're looking at here in the center is a LiDAR image, so that's showing you like land surface elevations. So the blue represents canals or water bodies, And essentially what we're going to be doing is regrading the site to fill in those agricultural ditches, restore the natural topography. We're not going to laser level the site or anything. We're just going to be moving the material that sort of sits in between those canals and just gently filling in the agricultural ditches to restore that topography. And you can kind of see it's a little higher on the west, a little lower on the east, and so that'll continue to be that way after the restoration. The phase one also includes constructing the maintenance roads. That's these red lines that you see around the perimeter of the project. So everything that's interior will be leveled. There's some existing roads out there right now. Those will just be brought down to grade. Phase one also includes a bridge that'll go over the turnpike ditch. So you can see there's two roads that kind of parallel the center of the property. That was an issue that we just couldn't resolve. We would have really liked to have filled in that ditch too, to sort of make the site completely connected from the north and south, but that drainage for the turnpike in 95 was going to be too impacted if we were to do that, so we had to retain it. So we will be making some improvements to that ditch, sort of clearing it out and making sure it flows better. And then we're also going to be putting a weir at the end of it. So rather than filling it, we are still going to try to use it, the ditch, to get the groundwater levels up. So there'll be a weir that goes in toward the end, bring the groundwater up a little bit. And then phase two would be constructing another weir at the end of the Hope Grove ditch. So that's that red line that's sort of going off the screen to the right. There'll be a weir at the end of that ditch. What that'll do is raise up the water levels in the Hope Grove ditch. And I wish this pointer would work, but it's not going to show up. And what it's going to do is help us to reroute into the historic Moonshine Creek. So that blue area that sits just under the Hope Grove ditch, that's the historic Moonshine Creek. And right now it's essentially completely cut off from all flows. And so when you get out there, you see these great big cypress trees, huge cypress knees, but there's just no water out there. There's no recruitment. And so that'll be a great improvement rather than just let water go through the Hope Grove ditch where we're not really getting this wetland benefit. We're going to redirect it in through Moonshine Creek, so that same water will just flow through the historic creek. And there'll be a couple of bridges that'll go into that as well. So there'll be a bridge that goes over the rehydrated Moonshine Creek, and then another bridge that goes over the Hope Grove ditch, and that's to facilitate that ocean to lake hiking trail. So that's what's going on at Gulfstream East. And then the other one that we're looking to get to construction fairly soon is Kitchen Creek. And so this sits up in Jonathan Dickinson State Park. Kitchen Creek flows to the south, and then it flows right into the northwest fork of the Lox River there. And so this is considerably different than what was envisioned in the project implementation report. So what we were supposed to do, according to that report, is we were supposed to construct a weir or some sort of a structure in Jenkins Ditch. That's that ditch that goes north and south in the graphic there. And that would raise water levels up in the ditch, and then we were going to dig two spreader swales, east and west, and that water would just naturally flow into these spreader swales and raise groundwater levels in that area. But what we found is that when we were to put that structure in the ditch, it would actually raise water levels to the north, off-site, and there was potentially going to be impacts to groundwater and flood storage in those properties to the north. And so we had to come up with a different alternative, and that's what we're looking at here. So what we intend to do is to construct a very small pump station by district standards. It'll be 3 5 CFS electric pumps that will be housed in a pump station house, and that will pump water from Jenkins Ditch, and then it will be delivered through a buried pressurized pipeline to our target restoration area, which is this floodplain swamp that sits at the bubble up outlet that you see just to the right side of the picture there. And so idea is the same, to try to get water to these wetlands that have essentially been cut off by that development. You see that development to the north. Typically, historically, water would have just flown to the south from that development area, but now that's been cut off by roads and other sorts of drainage changes. And so in order to get water back into these water-starved areas, we're going to be pumping it through this system. So that is also one of the projects that we're trying to get to construction fairly soon. This one should be starting probably in mid-2027, I expect, assuming we continue at the pace we're at. And so this is just kind of an overview of where we're at in Flowway 3. We executed our design contract in FY23. We're kind of putting the finishing touches right now. Our consultant is on the semi-regional model, which is sort of telling us what's going to happen once we get all these features put in place. And then, like I said, preliminary design's underway for Gulfstream East and Kitchen Creek, and we should get that construction going in 2026 and 2027. And I think that's what I've got for slides. And I'll be happy to take any questions that you have.
Great, thank you. Question,
No questions.
Russ?
Yeah, I do. Would it be fair for this committee to be of the opinion that there's no relationship between these projects you've just described and the Loxahatchee River Coordinating Council? I ask that because this seems to be ways and means to get water, freshwater flow improved for the Loxahatchee River. But it seems to me, I could be wrong, that the Coordinating Council primarily focuses on water quality issues. So that's kind of what's in my head, but could you kind of clarify that if it needs to be, please?
The project is certainly supported by the Fox River Management Coordination Council. I meet with them probably about once a year to provide an update on the project and get input from them. They aren't exactly directing the project, though. I mean, the Fox River Coordination Council, they try to provide advice on, what different agencies should be pursuing as far as solutions for the Lox River, and I think a lot of it has to do with water quality improvements, as you pointed out. This project is specifically not a water quality improvement project. However, just because it's not a water quality improvement project doesn't mean that that will not be a significant benefit of the project. And so that flow-through marsh that we were talking about, that sits just to the west of I-95, so that'll be sort of very similar to a stormwater treatment area. It'll be bermed up around the outside, it'll have emergent vegetation in there, we'll be putting water in the north, it'll be flowing through all that vegetation and discharged to the south, and so I think it's reasonable to assume, and that's exactly what we did in our modeling, was assume that there would be some treatment through that process. And so even though that's not a stated objective of the Loxahatchee River Watershed Restoration Project, it certainly is something that would be a benefit of the project. So that's one feature that would certainly be helping with water quality, but virtually all the features help improve water quality. And so without these features in place, what we end up seeing is high flow rates, and that carries a lot of nutrients, a lot of contaminants in these high flows. And so rather than allowing that to go through the system, if we can capture it and put it into these flow-through marshes, we can help to settle out some of the solids to provide some water quality treatment at the same time. And so that improves the quantity and distribution at the same time as water quality. So thank you. Great question.
Thank you. That helps me better understand the roles of the council. Now, big picture, you have X number of projects that are in the whole program that you just described. If you pick a place, but if you were if you were to choose where are we today or where are we going to be at the end of the FY 25-26 fiscal year, can you tell us where you think you are, like in this percent? Have you done 33% or 50%? Where do you see yourself being in the big picture?
For the whole project, like what
Yes.
percent complete are we with the project?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, if I were to look at it in terms of the timeline, and just kind of think about that, we don't expect to be done with construction for the entire project until about 2033. And so
33?
2033,
Okay.
exactly. Some of these features, for example, the Flowway 2 impoundment that we're working on construction, we won't even get into construction on that until probably 2029, and there'll be several years of construction on that. And so maybe we're approaching the 30% completion range, just in terms of time, because there's so much time that goes into planning and the design process, and then we get into construction. So if I was just looking at it on the overall, maybe I'm giving it too much credit, maybe 25. 20 to 25 might be more fair, but we're toward the beginning. You know, once we get into construction, that's when we start to see the real progress.
Okay, well, thank you.
Joe?
No.
No.
Thank you.
What's the funding for this project? Where does it come from primarily, or the major funding sources?
Sure. So it's a cost shared project. We share the cost of implementation of the entire SERP with the Army Corps of Engineers. And so we get an annual allocation from the state, and that covers our half, and then the federal government, you know, gets an annual allocation that covers their half. And so I consider that we're essentially fully funded. I've never seen that, you know, we've wanted to, you know, take our foot off the gas at any point. It seems like we've got the money that we need to continue at the pace that we're at right now. But it's an annual process, and at any point, I suppose things could change, but, you know, we're not anticipating changes.
All right, no more questions?
I have just a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Is there any ability to sort of bond out for it, to take away the uncertainty of the, almost like bond out for the project, you know, like grant anticipation revenues or something like that?
Oh, to raise money and
Yeah, to pay for sort of like, to kind of mitigate potential cuts in the future.
Not in general. Just to give you guys an idea of the scale of the project, it's roughly a $1 billion restoration project, and a good chunk of it is real estate that we've already acquired. And so we probably already have $300 million of the real estate, you know, in our hands. It's just a matter of the construction funding at this point. So, you know, I think we're doing fairly well. I have not ever heard that we would, you know, try to go out to find additional funding. And generally, the SERP projects are fairly well supported, both by the state and by the federal government.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know, hoping that in the future construction costs don't go up and those type of things. You know.
Well, they are,
Yeah, I know.
unfortunately. Yeah, we were originally authorized as a $770 million project, and then just with, you know, increases as a result of inflation, supply chain type issues that we've all been dealing with since COVID started, really, you know, now the price tag for the project is I've seen estimates that put it over $1 billion for sure. And so the price just keeps going up. And the risk really is if, you know, we don't move on this as fast as we can, then, you know, price could just continue to go up. So we've got to, you know, make progress to try to keep the price under control.
Anything else? All right, great. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah,
Thank
great.
you, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, back to the agenda. So the annual review and initiatives for next year, I like the idea of ranking them. Since I think that'll probably be the only thing that I really discuss with them unless they have specific questions on something we did last year. You know, I'm not going to take up a bunch of their time with a review of a whole year's worth of stuff that we did last year. So I would like suggestions on how to rank them. Does everyone have eyes on? You do? Okay. Here.
Can I go up
You
here?
can do it.
I'm pulling up, Brett.
Oh, you put it up?
I have a thought as a starting place, then we can just pick it apart. You have 8 items there. I was just looking through the strategic plan for Tequesta and which items that we have that like seem to directly support the strategic plan going forward. It seems like they're item number 4, 6, and 3 seem to be called out in the strategic plan for Tequesta itself. So those seem naturally to me to, I don't want to say rise to the top, but have at least some level of designation.
What were they again, Wade?
Number 4, so budget's not needed to mitigate storm water. The stormwater in both number 4 and number 3, I think signage for stormwater. Stormwater was called out as like there's some desire to improve the facilities there, how to handle stormwater. And then number 6, That's also beautification of Tequesta in general is one of the strategic initiatives as well, so that seems to support that. Some of the other items I didn't see like specifically called out, but I was listening and doing it at the same time, so probably missed it. It also seemed like 4 of the 8 here require additional budget. And then the other 4, probably we could do on our own, you know, it's meetings or education, those kind of things, so.
So basically put the ones that are gonna require a budget first.
Well,
No.
maybe, yeah.
The rationale is there, if it's part of the Tequesta strategic
Yeah, right.
plan, I would imagine.
So number 4, 6, and 3, they all are requiring budgets, and they're all listed, you know, as a connection, seems to me.
I'm fine with what you said, Wade, but I think we need to make it clear to them that we're not suggesting that we want the money to make it happen. We want
Right.
them to budget
Sure.
to make these things happen.
Right, because they support the initiatives
Right.
that have been laid out by the city
Mm-hmm.
or the village.
Right. Well, I mean, the funding would go to probably community development, right? They would be the
They'd probably go to Public Works to plant trees, for example, and what's the other?
Improve stormwater.
Stormwater
Drains.
would be the utility department would put those in, and then what was the other one? Budget needed to mitigate runoff pollution. That's also
Yeah,
utility
number
department.
okay.
But having said that, I mean, we've spent a lot of time talking about living shoreline, and I didn't see it like directly listed in the strategic initiative of the village, but it seems to me, based on our prior discussions and effort that we put into it, that it would rise pretty close to the top, if not.
And aren't we saying here that we would love to get a pilot project going
Right.
somehow, somewhere for that?
Yes, number
Is that
number
what
2.
we're saying? Yeah.
That's, number 2.
And that's kind of been the stumbling block. I mean,
Yeah.
the site at Tequesta Bridge was too deep.
Kiboshed, yeah.
Not too deep.
The 2 other locations in Tequesta Country Club that we had talked about, they already have living shoreline, pretty much. So we're kind of stuck at, well, we want that, but where, you know? And then we started talking about, well, maybe we can find someone that would be willing, that lives on the water, to,
Yeah.
you know, kind of be not a test, but, you know,
Let me ask.
a pilot for it.
Let me ask Jay this question. It's related. You know how city managers and public works directors, they know the approximate per foot cost for traditional seawalls and bulkheads, right?
Yeah.
Is there any data out there that you remember or may look at that gives you a general idea on a linear foot basis how much a shoreline, a living shoreline project would be? Say if it had riprap and they planted some mangroves.
There's a lot of conflicting data out there because there's so many different types of living shorelines. But if you honed in on the specific type, we could probably fine tune a cost estimate per linear foot.
Yeah. So why I asked that question is as follows. So eventually there's going to come a day where somebody's going to knock on Jay's door and says, hey, tell me about this living shoreline concept, and because I need a new seawall or something like that. And then if they agree to let it be a focus type project for the village, instead of us seeking a place where we would have a pilot project, we would just give this guy X amount of dollars for him letting us be, or to advertise or to market, look what this wonderful thing is that he did.
Like an abatement.
Yeah, like a bait, yes. Be like, we would help reduce his costs.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to go.
The only problem is, I've been here 2 years and I haven't had anyone come in my door asking me that question.
Yeah.
So we could be waiting another 5 years for somebody to come through. So that's why I think you have to be proactive with
Yeah,
creating
you
a
can-
project.
You can outreach and you can do some sort of outreach or find a way to get, like to market the idea to
Mhm.
somebody and then they may raise their hand, but I don't think people are probably gonna just,
Yeah.
they wouldn't know, I guess, right, to come knock on the door.
Right, yeah. Well, they should know that they're gonna need a permit to do a
Yeah.
new seawall.
Yeah, so maybe when they go to get the permit, then that's where it can be presented.
Information.
The problem is they go to the state first. They go to DEP before they even come to the village typically. So they've already done their design before they even get to us. It's different than most development.
Is there a way to know which ones might be coming up in need of a new seawall so that we could reach out to them?
I mean, we'd have to do like a seawall inventory of the whole village.
Because I'll have a boat day.
Yeah.
Drive around and see.
But it's tough. It's also tough to see from the water, right? Because a lot of times the seawalls are failing from the caving. They're caving inland, right? So
Tiebacks have rusted away and all that, yeah. Hmm.
Well, marketing, I guess. Hey,
So- So I think we could do it similar to the tree rebate program we're doing, right? We're just starting to roll out this tree rebate program. Drew, we talked a little bit about the last meeting, but we're going to give a credit for $300 per tree for a shade tree and $200 for more of an ornamental tree on people's properties, trying to get people to plant trees, right? So we're going to be rolling out some stuff and trying to encourage people to do it just to increase our urban tree canopy, right? If there's value to the whole village for every tree that there's put in, right? So we can do a similar thing with this mangrove concept, right? Where we create, the EAC and council creates a program and funds it, and we determine, to Tom's point, we determine how much it costs per linear foot, and then we say, well, let's say it's $10,000 on the typical lot, or $5,000. Then we get enough funding to maybe do 2, 3, 4 projects a year, and then we roll it out and say, hey, we've got $20,000, first come, first serve, come and get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So-
like that.
I think that's probably the best approach, and I think what we kind of talked about at the last meeting. And I think as far as what Brad's presenting, a lot of what he's presenting is getting a blessing from council for you all to move forward with further evaluation of these concepts, but also to put it on the radar for the strategic plan for next year. So they typically do their strategic planning in March, so it'd be March of 2026. But if Brad gets something on the radar right now, we can start working with them to kind of get it on that strategic plan. For instance, the mangrove project, and then if things are in the strategic plan, they typically then get put into the budget, which then happens the following summer. So that's kind of, I think, the idea of having Brad present now to get ahead of the strategic planning process.
Another thought I had would be, so my recollection is Jupiter has had this requirement way longer than we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if they have some projects that the private property owners have done, and they know of one of them who is just, what's the right word? I'm very enthusiastic about letting the world know what he or she did, okay? Then maybe we could do a video on that job showing, look what they did over in Jupiter, and this is why we're trying to get it to happen here in Tequesta.
It could be.
It's a great idea. We can reach out to Jupiter's environmental department and see if they have any good projects that we could consider.
I mean, what do y'all think about
Yeah,
that? I mean,
I
it's
like
like,
that.
it would just be a videographer to
Yeah, it's
make
easy.
a video.
It's an easy.
Sounds like a much more efficient and quick way of making the case. That's what we're trying to do, right? To make the case.
Yeah, we don't care if it was in Timbuktu, really. We just
Right.
we want somebody to see this stuff works. It's not pie in the sky kind of stuff. Let us know what you call your counterpart of that department you mentioned and let us know what they said.
Does the village get any rebates or incentives around like sustainable things that go into like new construction homes or even existing like solar, passive homes or anything like that? Any any sort of
No,
thing
we took-
currently?
No, so that's what Brad had mentioned. It's somewhere in his thing that the EAC has vetted green building incentives.
Yeah.
So we've done some workshopping with them, and we've taken those recommendations to the council, and we just need to adopt them. But there won't be any actual cash incentives. It's generally like rebates on permit fees, expedited permitting, things of that nature. But
That's good.
it's baby steps, right? It's incremental stuff.
No, that's great that even thinking about that. It's awesome.
All right, so I like the idea of 463, and then I'll run through the rest of the stuff. I think
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
if nothing else, we could say we would like to shape and inform how 4, 6, and 3 are done, right? Because it's in the strategic initiative. We'd like this council's input to, shape the projects that are going to be funded through those.
All
That
right.
might be an automatic way of getting at least 3 of our things
Right.
supported.
All right. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
I don't think there's a need for a motion, right? Yeah. Let's go on to the next thing. Unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about on the review and the initiatives. All right, so new business. We had discussed in the last meeting the potential to have a Tequesta Hazardous Waste Amnesty Day kind of modeled after the paper shredding event that they have, twice a year, I think. Because I've been to that paper shredding event and it seems to be well attended. I know it's different, paper and hazardous waste, but they have a system where you drive through, you unload your paper, and you drive away. So I thought, well, if you make it easy, perhaps people will be more apt to bring their stuff. I also emailed each of you a link to, I think it was Sumter County has an amnesty day for their household hazardous waste, just to give you kind of an idea of how they do it, the wastes that are eligible, because you can't bring everything in.
The radioactive.
Right. And so, just as an example, I did write a staff memo for this with a bunch of information, but I don't know what happened to it. I think Meg just deleted it.
Probably.
Not on purpose.
No, I couldn't find it to save my life. It was the strangest thing. Anyway, does anyone have any discussion or ideas or maybe experience with such an amnesty type scenario for hazardous waste?
When I was village manager of Tequesta, I have a vague recollection that we partnered with Waste Management at least one time to have a de facto amnesty day somewhere on the village property here. Waste Management put it on vehicles that were safe to transport, and they took it to the proper place, which is probably off of Military Trail north of Donald Ross Road, and they took care of all of that. So that to me seems like the easiest thing, instead of doing it from the ground up and Tequesta trying to figure out what kind of a truck to put it on and having workers take it. Try to partner with Waste Management.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because I'm sure there's regulations around what specific types of waste.
Yeah, they may set, like, say the truck has, the space on the truck. This might be for paint, this might be for turpentine, this might be for that, so fertilizers, to keep it so that it's easier to put it in the right place when they get to the place it gets taken to.
Yeah, similar to the paper event. I forget the name of the vendor, but they come in, they've got big trucks, and they do all the shredding and disposal of the paper.
So basically, the case we're trying to make is we're just expanding from paper only or mostly to all these other items.
I wouldn't have it on the same day, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Have it a different day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I think the shredding event is
Too big?
it's very busy.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So would
Is
hate
there a
to-
recycling center in Tequesta?
Pardon?
Is there a recycling center at all where you can drive and drop recycling off?
There
anywhere?
used to be until we had curbside recycling pickup.
Right.
I think it was at Tequesta Park, if I remember correctly.
So then the question is back, who can interface with Waste Management to try and,
Yeah, so I think if you get council's blessing at your meeting tomorrow night, I think that's on the list, right? Jeremy Allen or I will reach out to Waste Management and we'll set that up. And we could possibly even have them come here and we could just kind of workshop it with you and figure out how to do it.
okay?
We have two items we want to talk to Waste Management about.
Was that single stream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When was the last time that they came? Was it
It was a while ago.
2 summers ago?
Perhaps.
Who's they?
Yeah.
Jeff, you mean?
Yeah, Jeff Saban. When was the last time Jeff Saban came? I
He
feel like
may have come to tell us about the new pickup, automated pickup. Maybe.
Our contribution
Did he?
rates are lower.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm dreaming.
He did. No, he did. I think that was.
Places dump it all.
I think that was last year.
Contribution
Is that right?
rates for
I
recycling
was
much
here,
higher.
because Jeff Saban is,
They're recycling centers that do that. They split them.
You know, it's something for all of us, particularly for Brad and or the staff, if it gets that far. The fire departments are very supportive of these amnesty days because one of their big fears is, you know, if there's some little tiny fire in a garage or something, it can turn into a major fire because of all this stuff that's sitting on shelves in the garage that should have been taken somewhere years ago. And I'm guilty of the same thing. In my garage, you know, I've got paint and petroleum products and all kind of stuff that need pesticides, where it needs to go.
That's a great point.
And so the fire department, I don't know how you, but just to mention it, that it would be beneficial. I know that they are always supportive of those projects because they see that as fuel for fire. It's basically what they look at, the stuff that's accumulated on private property.
Brad, I'll try and reach out to the fire chief before tomorrow night just to get him on board with that, where he could maybe say that they kind of partner with the EAC or co-sponsor it or at least support it. And because I think it's a great point, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this? So comments from committee members. I have one comment. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you.
Did Drew get the Sunshine State Law or what is it?
No, we'll have to give him a little tutorial on that sunshine law in Florida,
Read my Bill of Rights.
basically. A sign of your life.
And so the long and short of it, without going into great detail, is whenever you receive an email from anyone on the EAC, don't reply.
Oh.
Yeah, because we're not allowed, outside of this venue, we're not allowed to talk about EAC business to one another. We can talk about the golf game, the football game, or the weather, or anything else, but not EAC.
So like when I wasn't able to log in, I replied to everybody that I can't log in. Kind of like that.
Yeah, you could talk about Florida State beating Alabama in football.
Please.
So anything like that.
With no business. Got it.
Yeah, that's right. What else?
Sorry, Tom. Got real quiet in here.
I'm a Gator fan, so.
And was it, who do I actually, is it Brian that would help me with the login stuff? Because I had an issue with it.
I didn't remember till just now when I looked on this computer, but even on my desktop, I was not able to see any of the items every time I went to click the link.
Mhm.
I got iCompass, password, user ID, and I even looked at my master list of those things. iCompass does not exist. I don't know. I think I know what it is. It's like a protective process or something, but
It's like a VPN or something.
yeah, it's just not letting me do a thing.
That was my issue was Duo, which is I think like that security VPN that like they send a text to your phone and you put the number. And I never got the text to my phone. So
It's a challenge.
that's why I'll have to work on that.
So does anyone have any suggestions for future agenda items?
I like what we're.
Putting you on the spot. What I'll do, Drew, I'll send you a template of a staff memo. If something comes up, if, whatever you think is pertinent or germane to discuss at EAC, just write a little something. You saw my staff memo in here, just, a short little blurb
Okay.
and why it's important, blah, blah, blah. And then we just add that to the next agenda and discuss it as a
So
committee.
then how do I send that, for example?
You can do one-way communication, so that's the reason
So
you
you just
can't reply.
so you can just send
Correct. But just send it to me, but don't expect to reply.
Got it. Okay.
And I'm not trying to ignore you, but,
That makes sense. I got it.
or you can send it to Jay,
Either way.
and that way you'll know that someone got it because he can reply to you, he's staff.
You can copy us both on it. That's probably the best way to do it.
All right, anything else? All right, would someone like to motion for adjournment? Or we can sit here for a while.
I motion to adjourn.
And I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
You know what that ceiling reminds me of? That ceiling reminds me of that movie